Welcome back to the Deep Dive. We are here to take your sources, your articles, your notes, and turn them into pure, actionable insight.
Today, we're looking at Central America, specifically a really interesting political development happening in Costa Rica.
Right. It's all about their long-standing maritime security alliance with the United States, and there's been a pretty major update.
We're pulling from a new Tico Times article that breaks down a big decision from the Legislative Assembly. They've given the green light for a huge number of U.S. Coast Guard vessels to operate in Costa Rican waters through 2026.
So our mission today is pretty clear. We need to unpack the truly staggering scale of this agreement.
It is staggering.
Yeah, and connect that directly to its main purpose, improving safety protocols, through anti-drug operations. And then we have to ask, what does this actually mean for the political vibe and for safety for you, whether you're an expat, a resident, or just tracking the region?
Okay, so the core fact is this. The Legislative Assembly approved access for up to 195 U.S. Coast Guard vessels. And this isn't a short mission. It runs for the entire year, from January 1st to December 31st, 2026.
And it wasn't a close vote either, was it?
Not at all. It passed with a pretty significant margin, 38 votes in favor and only 5 against. So broad political support.
And it's important for you to realize this isn't some, brand new arrangement they just cooked up. This whole thing is rooted in a bilateral agreement from way back in 1999.
Exactly. That agreement is the legal foundation for everything. It allows for these shared maritime patrols, it lets U.S. vessels dock and refuel, and for the crew to come ashore.
In both the Pacific and the Caribbean, which makes these long-term operations actually feasible.
And that 1999 agreement is so critical because, well, Costa Rica doesn't have a navy. That's famously part of its national identity.
Right.
So its ability to police its own vast maritime territory, its exclusive economic zone, is, let's say, severely limited. This agreement essentially lets U.S. assets help fill that gap.
Okay, let's unpack this then. When we say 195 vessels, my first thought is, what's the human footprint? What does that actually look like on the ground, or, I guess, on the water?
It's massive. When you tally up all the authorized personnel across those ships, the numbers are pretty immense. We're talking 1,092 officers, 6,341 enlisted personnel.
Wow.
And this is the surprising part, 153 scientific officers. So all told, that's over 7,500 people authorized to be part of these operations over the year.
That's like rotating a small, high-tech expeditionary force through the region. So what about the hardware, the ships themselves? What do they tell us about the mission?
Well, the list shows a very clear focus on, let's call it, heavy-duty interdiction. The biggest ships on the list are 10 of what they call medium legacy security cutters, the WMSLs.
And what can those do?
Think of them as the Coast Guard's workhorses. They're big. Each one carries about 107 enlisted personnel and this is key, 2 aircraft. So that gives them a huge surveillance range.
So they provide the eyes in the sky and the long-haul presence. What about the boats that actually do the chasing?
That's where the numbers come in. The approval covers 62 fast response cutters and 59 patrol boats. These are the ones built for speed, for rapid pursuit. They're the backbone of the anti-narcotics work.
But, and this is where it gets really interesting for me, the list includes some vessels that seem out of place. It complicates that simple anti-drug story.
It absolutely does. And this is the detail that I think really deserves a closer look. The approval includes 3 polar-class icebreakers. WGBs.
Icebreakers. And the front.
Exactly. And 1 sailing vessel, a WIX. But the icebreakers, why on earth would you need a ship designed to smash through Arctic ice operating off the coast of Costa Rica?
That one question just completely unravels the simple narrative, doesn't it? It's a massive curiosity.
It really is. And the source material points out they're crew intensive, but here's the kicker. They also carry a huge number of those scientific officers we mentioned. 51 of them are assigned just to those 3 icebreakers.
Okay, so if the only mission was chasing drug boats, you would not need that kind of scientific personnel or infrastructure.
You wouldn't. Now, an icebreaker is an incredibly stable, heavy platform. They often have advanced labs, deep-sea sonar, things that are useful for a lot more than just navigating ice.
So while the official mandate is clear help, Costa Rica intercept drug shipments, the presence of these ships and scientists strongly suggests, well, a probable secondary mission.
Right. It could be environmental research, deep sea mapping, or, more sophisticated intelligence gathering that needs that kind of unique scientific input.
Let's pivot to the main reason for all this, the why they're doing it, the safety protocols. Supporters are pointing to clear results, right? What's the data they're using to back this up?
The argument really hinges on 2 things. Necessity and results. We already said it. Costa Rica can't police its own massive coastline. It's just too big. So supporters argue this partnership is really the only effective way to fight organized crime.
Okay, that's the necessity argument. But is it actually effective? What are the metrics of success they're citing to justify this?
The U.S. Embassy provided data, and it's pretty powerful stuff. In the current year, through October 31st, these joint operations led to the seizure of 19 suspected smuggling boats.
And arrests.
59 individuals arrested. But the drug totals are where the numbers get, really staggering.
Give us the numbers.
They've confiscated 26,066 kilograms of cocaine and 27,358 pounds of marijuana.
Wow. Okay. Those numbers, they make a very strong case for the operation being a success, at least in terms of disruption. But I have to ask, if they seize that much every year, does that mean the problem isn't actually being solved?
That is a fantastic question. I mean, is the goal to seize drugs, or is the goal to stop the flow of drugs?
Right.
For officials, the data proves disruption. They say it keeps drugs off local streets and out of international markets. But your point is critical. You could look at those same numbers and say the volume of trafficking is just relentless, and this massive foreign presence is just, well, treading water.
Just maintaining the status quo. And that thought takes us straight into the political friction here, because not everyone sees this as a clear-cut safety win.
Not at all. Remember, the vote was 38-5. All 5 of those no votes came from one party, the Frente Amplio. That's Costa Rica's main leftist opposition.
And their counter-narrative gets right to the heart of some very deep-seated concerns, doesn't it?
It does. It's about sovereignty, militarization, and accountability. The party leader, Rocío Alfaro Molina, laid out their objections pretty clearly.
What were her main points?
First, she pointed to the heavy armament on many of these U.S. ships. For her party, bringing that kind of militarized foreign presence into Costa Rican waters, even with an agreement, goes against the country's whole demilitarized identity.
It's a clash of cultures in a way.
And she didn't just stop at theoretical risks. She made some really explosive historical claims.
What did she say?
She specifically cited reports of 25 vessel sinkings and 95 deaths in the region, and she attributed them to U.S. forces operating under similar anti-drug missions. She called them extrajudicial actions.
95 deaths. I mean, that is an incredibly serious allegation to make on the floor of the legislature. That totally reframes the debate.
It absolutely does. The source we have focuses on her using that claim to highlight the risk. It doesn't dive into investigating the claim itself, but just making that claim connects this 2026 agreement to this deep regional anxiety about U.S. intervention.
So it's not a counter-narcotics mission anymore. It's a debate about foreign military power and authority operating in their waters.
And she drove the point home by questioning the sincerity of the whole war on drugs. She brought up the recent U.S. pardon of the former Honduran president, Juan Orlando Hernandez,
who was convicted on drug trafficking charges.
Exactly. So her point is, how can this be purely about stopping drugs when high-profile political figures with known connections seem to get a pass? It creates this perception of, hypocrisy.
So there it is, the central tension. You have these huge, undeniable success metrics on one side.
All that cocaine and marijuana seized, the boat stopped, the arrests made. It's objective, quantifiable success.
And on the other side, you have these deeply felt concerns about what this means for Costa Rican sovereignty, about accountability, and about the nature of this foreign military presence.
It's a classic clash, operational effectiveness versus political and ethical reservations.
So bringing it back to you, the listener, what does all this mean for the safety and the political vibe in Costa Rica? On one hand, the 2026 agreement clearly offers a massive boost in policing power. It is designed to make the country safer by disrupting drug routes.
And if you're focused purely on those security metrics, then this looks like a big win. More patrols, more seizures. But if you're sensitive to the political climate, you can see this clear polarization. Security isn't just about drugs anymore. It's also about a potential for foreign overreach.
The vibe is definitely more tense. The opposition has successfully tied this practical security agreement to some very old, very potent historical anxieties.
It's a much more complicated picture now.
And so we'll leave you with one final thought to mull over, and it goes back to that little detail we found earlier. Given the huge scale of this agreement, which specifically carves out positions for 153 scientific officers on ships like, icebreakers.
The ones that seem so out of place.
Exactly. We have to ask, What broader, non-interdiction roles might these long-term agreements really be serving well beyond just the immediate goal of seizing drugs?
Because if that scientific staff is doing deep-sea charting or studying ocean currents, that data has dual use. It's good for science, sure, but it's also incredibly valuable intelligence for understanding all kinds of transit routes. And that complex reality is probably the ultimate takeaway from this deep dive.